guys, Leonard Jacobs here from the Clyde Fitch Report. This is part 2B of the FringeTALK series. I'm here once again with Alina K. Holy, the producing artistic director of the New York International Fringe Festival. Hey!
Hey!
Now, just not to give away too much, but we just said hey 10 minutes ago. But you're going to pretend like this is a completely autonomous experience.
Right.
We're going to talk about the adjudication process today, which is the process by which the mysterious, magical powers that be determine which of your applications actually get into the Fringe Festival. And just to clear up one big myth, there's no bribery.
There is not.
All right.
No.
So put the money away. I mean, you can give me the money, but it's not going to do you any good. No bribery.
Yeah.
So for someone who is uninitiated into the Fringe Festival experience, what is adjudication?
Yeah.
And, you know, in sort of a story arc, you know, what's the process? How does it work?
Yeah. Well, we are a festival that's adjudicated, which means juried or curated. So we accept, usually in the middle 800s, number of applications across all the adjudication categories. And then with a team of between 80 and 100 people, we decide which 200 shows will be invited to participate in the festival. So that's what adjudication is. It takes place over about 6 to 8 weeks, and it's to ensure the innovation, vibrancy, and diversity that are sort of our three keywords and our goals.
I would repeat those three words. Those are really important, actually, I think.
They are. It's innovation, people doing something new, trying something new, vibrancy, which is passion about the piece, and diversity. And that's geographical diversity, viewpoint, diversity of style, aesthetic, topic, even subject.
Can you talk about who the adjudicators are? I mean, I'm one, so I don't know what the standards are. but you know, there were a lot of them. You said 80 to 100,
Yeah.
and I can certainly vouch for that. How do you find them? I mean, I was laying on a curb in a drunken state.
Tripped over you.
Exactly, and there I was. Thank you for doing that. How do you find them? Who are they, and how are they trained?
They get nominated, and they are, as you might suspect, artistic directors, and actors. But as people sometimes don't realize, they are scientists and doctors and people who work in tech, meaning computers, not tech theater, although we have some of those too. They are as diverse as is our audience and our collection of artists every year. So they bring to the adjudication process their own you know, who they are. They bring that to us. So that's sort of how that happens. And each adjudicator is put with a team of 2 other adjudicators. Those 3 people we call a cluster. And they are reviewing this individually, the same 30 applications within a category. So they're looking at 30 plays or 30 musicals, or, you know, we still get more plays than anything, which is great. So, for instance, in a given year, we might have 13 to 15 clusters of people reviewing plays. And then after they've finished doing that, they, and filling out forms and providing information, they report back to those of us on a panel. So the panel represents, rather than our own aesthetic, we each have represent what we call a stated objective, which is sort of a goal of the present company, and our goal in producing the festival. So over a course of about 6 weekends, we start hearing back from play clusters on Friday evening, and we finish up Sunday night, and then we have musicals weekend, and one-person shows weekend, and clown mask puppet weekend, and that's kind of how that happens.
How does that work, clown mask puppet weekend?
It's great. No, you know, our adjudicators are amazing. They've reviewed 30 pieces individually, but they themselves are really diverse folks. So what they might love, one of their cluster mates might not love so much, and so they have to kind of duke it out and come up with their ranking as a cluster. And then everything goes to our panelists too. But you know, by the time someone gets declined or accepted or alternated for the festival, either 4 or 5 individual people have read their entire application and all the support materials.
You were talking about ranking. That was going to be my next question. So I've seen the form, I've filled out the form, I've sat with my cluster mates, and we've sort of haggle.
Yeah.
But can you talk about ranking, how it works, and what sort of the purpose is of ranking things in order of preference or whatever it is?
Yeah, well, it gives us on the panel a place to start. And, it's hard to rank art. People like things for different reasons. One of the things I might have said at our first Fringe Talk, our January Fringe Talk, was we as a festival that is not really a give the people what they want festival. We consider ourselves more of a give the people what they're going to want festival. So, we're a fringe festival. So we look at all different kinds of things about opportunity. Do they need to be in FringeNYC? The experience of the creatives on the piece. But our adjudicators really bring to it, it's a play about a family living in the South, and one of our adjudicators grew up in the South and brings that to, that's
right.
part of their gift to us. And they, we so value their opinions. They attend what's usually around a 3-hour training to learn who we are, what it is we're looking for, because there's a lot more that goes into it than just I liked it, I didn't like it. The kind of numbers that we see, that ain't it, kid.
Right.
It's got to go further than that. So, but one point I want to make about our adjudication process is a lot of really wonderful work gets declined for this festival. And that's because we only have 200 slots. And
I'm getting 800 submissions.
Yeah, and it might have more to do with, often it has more to do with the subject matter or the style or viewpoint of the piece, because overall in the festival, if we're looking for diversity, we can't have 6 shows about the same.
Martha Stewart.
Well, yeah, and that was the example we used last time, and it's really true. It's kind of an extraordinary process to go through to see what people are thinking and talking about. But the other reason might be that that the artists involved in the piece don't need a slot in FringeNYC, and we always go back to the spirit of FringeNYC and why we started this festival and who we were in the mid-90s when
I had hair.
when we started thinking about bringing a Fringe Festival to New York or starting a Fringe Festival in New York. We're still a festival that's really built for the people that we were then.
Now, I know that things are ranked, 1 to 10, and there are different categorizations.
Yeah.
How should... you guys should sort of know what the adjudicators are doing when they're talking, when the clusters are meeting and whatever. How are ties resolved? How do you have a situation where one adjudicator gives this a 1 because they're from the South and they think this is really true to life,
right.
using your example,
right.
And then there's some other adjudicator who's like from, whatever, Queens, and they have no relationship to the deep South, and so the play doesn't resonate for them.
Yeah.
And they get, the other way around. They give it a 1, and the one from the South gives it a 10.
Exactly.
How do they resolve that? And then, more importantly, because you guys on the panel have the final say, how do you guys resolve when you've got polar opposites looking at art, bearing in mind the idea that it's very difficult to put like a numerical value on art?
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's impossible. I mean, we're really asking them to do the impossible, but they're representing their own, personal aesthetic and their view on the piece. So, so we like work that people have a strong reaction to. And
positive or negative?
Positive or negative. And when you get 3 people reading the same play or reviewing the same musical, you're going to have extraordinarily varied opinions. And it makes for a really energetic festival. I love that about FringeNYC. And I love the diversity of FringeNYC. We have... a kitchen sink drama right next to a performance artist who's really pushing boundaries. And that is a good fit for New York City. So yeah, they each have to give it a score. Then they have to come up with this ranking. But we're not, it is an excruciating thing. The panel work I think it's even more excruciating, but that's probably just because I'm one of the people who has to do that part of it. For adjudicators, we have given them some additional ways to express themselves. We have what we call a passion flag. And for an artist who maybe is doing something that's radically different in their community, but might not be as vastly unique in New York, our adjudicators nominate that person to get to come to the festival, get a VIP pass to the festival, and see stuff. Because sometimes, we really fall in love with the artist, and even if the piece isn't right for the festival, we just want them to come hang out with us. The community that FringeNYC builds is one of the best things about the festival. So in a way, it's like looking for the people that you want to live with all summer.
We're going to have to wrap up in a minute, but I want to ask a question similar to the one that I asked at the end of 2A in FringeTALK, which if you haven't watched 2A, you're completely out of order. All right, so you're not getting in. No, it's just a joke. Are there do's or don'ts for applicants in terms of how their stuff will be adjudicated? You know what I mean by that? Are there things that the applicant out there, all you guys, can do to make it easier for the adjudicators to do their job?
Sure. We say everything in the instructions. So I would say read through those. One of those things that we say is, please don't spend money on fancy binders and, leather bound, because honestly, when your application arrives, we strip that away. Because have you ever carried 10 plays on your back on the subway? It's, we wanted the adjudicators to have as easy a time as possible. There are some hints on the FAQs about what to do and not to do. I would say overall, it's your opportunity for us to get to know you. And that's really an important part of it. And I think if I could give a hint to folks out there who are in process or thinking of applying, be who you are. Don't try to... I think sometimes people apply with something because they think it's fringy. And I, after all these years, don't even really know what that means. As we've said, we look for innovation, vibrancy, and diversity. So there are some years when the plays written from the Christian conservative viewpoint, diversity-wise, those are pretty diverse among our applicants. So, be who you are in your application. That's most important.
I'm going to contradict myself and ask you a question after the final question, because you said something that just a bell went off in my head.
Yeah.
The scripts are blind, I think, right?
Yeah.
No? Do we do see the title? Because I don't remember now.
You do, yeah. You have title
okay.
and applicant, because for us, it's impossible to still evaluate the application. We're looking at more than just the script, particularly for a dance piece. Right. So it's impossible to remove all trace of identity and still be looking at the whole because of the who you are and why you want to hang out with this component.
I don't know if from the last time I was an adjudicator, I guess 2 years ago, I don't remember to what degree we had conversations about the artist's background. In other words, it was very focused on the work.
Yeah.
But I seem to remember one of my cluster mates was like Googling the titles.
Yeah.
Because it was interesting to see what other work that people had done.
Yeah.
You can't judge them or adjudicate them on previous work.
Right.
But there was something for that adjudicator about wanting to know what their background was.
Yeah. Sometimes the adjudicators are curious about someone's experience, not because you have to have a certain level of experience. Right. In fact, the untried and untested is what we look for. But if you apply with something that requires significant trapeze work, the panel then is going to want to make sure that you have experience in that, just for your own safety. So I think that's where that kind of thing, and again, that's why we can't strip away bios and a CV or a resume if you include that, because then we've stripped away any hints about that kind of thing.
I hope that we've stripped away some questions about the adjudication process, but needless to say, if you have additional questions, we'd love to have them. And how does someone get in contact with a question or a tweet or a Facebook ping, or a passenger pigeon, or...
Absolutely. You can find us on Twitter at FringeNYC. You can send an email. There's a contact form on our website, FringeNYC.org. You can become a fan of ours on Facebook, and we'd love to hear from you.
And FringeTALK@gmail.com. Should have said that in the first place. Sorry. But please send your questions, your comments, your ideas. We'd love to know what you're thinking and doing. And for those of you who are applying, good luck. For those of you who aren't applying, good luck. But for those of you who are, very good luck.
Yeah,
thank you.
Send your suggestions to FringeTALK@gmail, because I really don't know what we're going to talk about in March.
I don't know.
We'll think of something.
Snow. Thanks, guys.